What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Retro of Aviation. Hope you guys had a fantastic day today, and today I have a double model review for you guys. Today we're going to be taking a look at the latest iterations of the Gemini Jets 1:400 scale American Airlines Airbus A319 and A320 by Gemini Jets. I really hope you guys are excited for today's review, and without any further delay, let's get started. So we have two very similar models here that I'm very excited to take a look at for you guys. So let's take a look at the boxes. They're pretty similar, as you guys can see. We have the A319S right here and the A320 for American Airlines. Here is the box for the A319. They're pretty similar to commonplace Gemini Jets items here. So we have the Gemini Jets A319, and then here's the Gemini Jets American A320 as well. No major changes or anything. Also, my cat got me pretty bad the other day by accident, so don't worry about my hand. But nevertheless, these are looking good here. So glad to see the American A319 and 20 boxes looking good. And let's take a look at these models. Sorry about that. All right, let's zoom in here and take a look. Also, I'm using this as a little bit of a tripod, so if you're wondering what that was, that's what we got going there. Alrighty, so here's our American Airlines Airbus A319s and A320. Now, these are the latest iterations of these aircraft. The A319 came out in the October 2022 release, and the A320 came out in the November 2022 release. I'm super excited to have both these aircraft, so I personally think that they definitely exceed my expectations. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that these are the best models that have ever came out, definitively and just, subjectively in general, but I still think that these are really good aircraft. I'm glad to have them. So without any further delay, we'll start with the A319 and start with our review today, because this is really a nice model and I'm glad to have it. So this this aircraft was unboxed also in massive unboxing number 25. So feel free to check that out if you haven't. But here's that American Airlines A319 by Gemini. So it's a pretty nice aircraft. I think they did a pretty good job on it. So what we'll do is I'm going to tilt the aircraft here, get some nice lighting on it, and we're going to zoom in and take a look at this bad boy. All right, here we go. We're going to start up here with your cockpit windows, and of course you have the inspection panel right here in the nose cone. Now, the nose cone is not the best and not the most accurate to the A319. I still think that it's pretty decent though, considering the standards at this point. We have the L1 boarding door and the antenna in the nose landing gear with the nose landing gear door. And we have the really nice detail here on the L1 door, the American Airlines, or One World logo, excuse me. Then we have the American Airlines logo along with the American Airlines billboard titles. One thing that we've really noticed with most of these American Airlines aircraft as of late is the glossy grayish color. So this one isn't as bad as some of the others, but you can really see in the reflection there, and I can tilt the aircraft, and you really see in that paint how much the gloss is. Not near the windows, but just in general here. You can kind of see it up top right there a little bit better what I'm referencing. So if you had the model in real life, you probably know what I'm talking about. It's not bad though, and it's not as bad as some of the other ones like the kind of the A320 2020 release, but nevertheless, we'll dive into that more in a minute. Here's CFM 56 wrong CFMs, but here's your CFM engines. Now, these are slightly big, still though pretty decent. It is what it is type deal. You got your slats, speed brakes, and flaps along with the emergency exit and the pad for that, which looks really good. Here's the sharklet, pretty nicely detailed, nice and proportional. I like it. And there's the main landing gears as well. They look really good. A little bit crooked, but again, just small QC. Kind of hard to tell anyways, excuse me. So pretty good right there. On the back over here, you're going to find your two antennas and the Wi-Fi box, which is a new addition from the 2018 release, and your registration November 93003. This aircraft now does have a logo on the inside of the sharklets, which it looks pretty cool. So nice to get to see that. And along with that, you got the US tail, of course, for American. It looks really good on this aircraft, and I think they did a very good job on it, and some APU detail. On the right side of the aircraft, of course, you have all your applicable details over here, and it looks fantastic to say the least. I'll give you guys a brief look here of what the aircraft looks like in general from the outside. The wings are pretty flat, but here's just a full turnaround view of it. Since we have quite a few models we're going to glance at today, I won't take too much of your guys' time. Horizontal stabilizer on the back here is a little bit tilted up, but outside that, pretty good. Cockpit window printing is what it is as well. There's a decent look at that as well. So overall, nice job slaying down the wing right there as well. That's pretty accurate. But overall, this is a pretty good model in general. I'm very glad to have it. Again, it's not your most stellar model, but still pretty decent considering the circumstances. And like I said, I'm very glad to have it. Here's a nice broad perspective of it, and it looks pretty good. All right, 1 month later, Gemini, of course, kind of goes on their tears when it comes to either re-releasing or releasing aircraft for the first time, and they redid the American Airlines A320. This is now the third release. They did a aircraft in 2017. It was a CFM 56 engine aircraft, pretty much like this one. That aircraft is placed back here behind you. We'll get a better look in a moment, by the way. And in 2020, Gemini Jets did a IAE A320, and it looks like that. But now we have this version of the A320. Like I said, this is the third iteration that Gemini Jets has done. And I think it's the fourth total 1-400, as Aero Classic did one back in the day as well. Alrighty, let's take a look at this aircraft a little bit more in detail here. Pretty similar to your 319, you got your cockpit windows. Along with that, you got the inspection panel. Here's the L1 boarding door and the Oneworld logo. Again, pretty similar details to the other. The main commonplace differences here is the fuselage is obviously slightly longer, especially on the back half due to the extended fuselage for the A320. The slotting and wings look really good right here. I'm very surprised. They turned out really nice, nice and firm up there against the engine, so that looks really good. Some pretty solid clearance here on the aircraft on this side, but I think the wing is slightly flexed to a degree, it looks like. So, but at least you got some more clearance, so I do give Gemini props there in that department. You have 2 antennas and a Wi-Fi box in this aircraft. Wi-Fi box is not a new addition from the 2020 release, but it is for the 2017. Wi-Fi box placement also, or the sizing, looks pretty good. So the aerials are coming nicely along for Gemini Jets. Here's the fence tip winglet. I think it turned out pretty well, so I'm glad to get to see that right there, and it looks fantastic. Here's the rest of the economy section. This aircraft's registered November 103 Uniform Sierra, and a very similar tail to the A319. In fact, I can probably bring it in here, and they pretty much look identical at this point. On the right side of the aircraft, you have the luggage loader, all that fun detail, and all that fun stuff. The aircraft's pretty similar on the top and bottom. Here's kind of a decent look at the top. You guys can kind of see it a little bit here. I'll just give you a full look. There you go. And the bottom's also pretty similar as well. Here's the bottom. You got stand-hold Gemini Jets. Really good detail there on the bottom as well. I think the A319 also demonstrates that too. Let's take a look. Yes, very good detail on the bottom here of the 319. Alrighty, so these aircraft are really good. I think that they turned out pretty well. Now, what I'm gonna do to really get us a comparison here is I'm gonna bring in the other iterations to really just take a look at these. So let's do that. All right, so the first aircraft I'm gonna bring in is the 2018 release of the Airbus A319 for American Airlines. That is placed on your right. This is the Gemini Jets version, once again, of course. Main differences are the color. Here, I'll just put it up like this. You guys might be able to tell it a little bit easier if I do it like this. You guys can definitely see a color change there. Personally, I do think that the 2018 release has a slightly better color there, although I do think the 2022 is not the worst. It's definitely better than some of the other ones I've seen as of late. So that's a major difference. As mentioned throughout the review, the Wi-Fi box is a new addition. Outside of that, the antennas are represented on the 2018 release. Let's see if there's any other major differences. For the most part, this aircraft is pretty similar to the 2022 release outside of color, Wi-Fi box. Looking around here, it looks like the leveling of the QC on the engines is slightly better. You can kind of see what I'm talking about there, so that's also a notable difference there. Also appears that the grooves and indentations on the wings are better. What I mean by that is if you take a look at the 2018, you kind of see how they're kind of not necessarily not present, but kind of like faint. On 2022, you can definitely see the lines and everything a little bit clearer, which is nice to get to note right there. And yeah, these are pretty commonplace items here. So looking really good, and I think they did a really good job on those. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring in all 3 versions of the A320 that Gemini Jets has done, and we're gonna take a look at those. On your left, you have the 2017 release right there. In the middle, you have the 2020 release, and now on the right, I'm gonna have to scoot back, but we have the latest 2022 release. All right, so the key difference here in general is that the 2020 release, the middle one, has the IAE engines. That's a key note. Wi-Fi box is actually different between the two, and I think it's a huge upgrade for Gemini. Here's the Wi-Fi box on the 320 for 2020, just too big in general. I don't need to say too much there. This is a more applicable size here for this aircraft, so good job representing that by Gemini. That looks so much better. Other key differences, the color is a huge one. The 2020 release is known for being infamously tan, if you will, although these two look better. I really like the color here on this 320, although this one is better than that, so definitely a huge upgrade there. 2 antennas here on this aircraft. I think the placement is right at the time because there was no SATCOM box on these at the time. Then this placement was done for 2020, which is, I think, correct for that time. And then obviously that transpired onto the CFM iteration that we got most recently. Other differences include the American Airlines tail. You guys can kind of see, sorry that's a little out of focus on that last one, but you can kind of see where the livery is more like not as saturated. You do have more saturation on the latter 2 over there. Let's see if there's any other major differences here. Nose shape's the same, fuselage is pretty much identical. Horizontal stabilizer angle is different as expected per QC. The CFMs, I think, do look better on the right side, although they're pretty similar to the left, the far left that is. And yeah, these are pretty good in general. I also think that the grooves came out better on these two than this one. So Gemini, nice upgrade there to make the indentations more notable, if that makes sense. It seems like the fence tip may get cut off on this one a little bit compared to these two. I'm not sure if that's a mold thing or what that is, but it seems like it might get just slightly cut off, if you guys know what I'm saying. Outside that, I'll give you guys a close-up of all three of these. So here's the 2017, sorry, there we go. Here's the 2017, I think it came out in, forgetting what month it was. Maybe, it might have been January, I can't remember, but it was somewhere in 2017. The 2020 was May, here it is. Famous model from Massive Unboxing 7. And of course, here's that 2022 as I was referencing. So I'm actually gonna bring in the other two and kind of just give my final thoughts. I think that these are really nice Airbus aircraft for American. There's one topic that I kind of wanna give some light to because I've heard it been talked about recently throughout the last couple months throughout the community. And I would like to give my opinion on it because I think that it could be beneficial. So the topic is that Gemini Jets models obviously are not as good as NG models, which subjectively speaking, I think the majority of people will agree that in most regards, NG models are better than Gemini Jets, and I have absolutely no problem with that being said. What I'm kind of concerned about is that people are buying less and less Gemini Jets because they are holding off for a NG release in the future. Logically speaking, I still think this is reasonable because obviously you don't want to have to buy an aircraft and then sell it and that sort of thing, but I do feel like Gemini Jets is getting bashed a little bit more than what they're deserving of because I feel like their products as of late have improved from their 2018 and 19 iterations. There was several broken molds coming during those time frames and the molds were lesser, but I do have to give Gemini Jets credit with what they've done recently. Their QC has been pretty much drastically improved. I'm not going to say it's perfect, but in terms of broken models, they've drastically improved upon that. And there's been some hiccups like the Embraer 175 wing flex, the A220 nose landing gear now being too tall, and many other issues. Cockpit window printing's always been a tough one as well. Tires also coming off. I've had a couple of tires come off on recent models, but in general, I think that they've been still doing a good job, and I feel like they get bashed a little too much, even though I do feel like there's a time and place for it, especially, you know, when all these models were coming broken a few years ago. But as of late, I feel like they've been doing a pretty solid job. And this video is coming out a couple months ahead of time. So we'll see what they're doing at the time of this release. But I still feel like Gemini Jets is a worthy company worth buying from, especially when they make models like this. And this will be the next model review. That is the United 757-300. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's proportional 1-to-1 compared to the real life aircraft because I know there was some small complaints about the nose and all that sort of thing. But guys, I'm glancing at the model back here and I have no issues with it. It's really good. I mean, I noticed that the left engine tilts up just slightly, just also slightly, and I noticed that I don't really notice much else, to be honest with you. I'm just looking here and I'm not noticing anything. It's such a good model. But, you know, with some of these, yeah, it's a little bit more noticeable. But I still feel like Gemini Jets is a really good company. And like I said, I'm not saying that they're NG models. I'm going to put another model that I'm about to review as well. And there's no doubting that this is fantastic, 100%. And it's obvious. But you still got to respect what Gemini Jets is doing. I think they're doing a good job. So with all these noted, I still think that Gemini Jets is a fantastic company, and I'm really excited to see where they go from here. I think that they have a pretty bright future ahead, and I'll be very excited to see what they can do in the future. Also, for the aircraft that we were reviewing in this video, let me give you guys some quick facts about those. The A319 serial number is 5704. The registration, like I said, November 93003. We have two CFM56 5B7 engines on this aircraft. It was first flight was 19 July 2013. Delivery date was August 1, 2013. 166,000 pound max takeoff weight and range of 4,300 miles. That's many more than what I expected. Those chocolates really help. For the A320, serial number 861. Registration November 103, Uniform Sierra. We have the CFM56 5B4P engines. First flight was 27 April 1999. Delivery date 08 April 2015 because of the US Airways merger. 172,000 pounds and a lesser range of about 3,800 miles. Still pretty far though, and you can go really far if you'd like it to. So with that said, that'll do for today's video. Like I said, I really hope you guys enjoyed this. Just thought that I would do a review here on these American Airlines aircraft, and I still think that they're really good in general. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Like I said, and definitely some really good models here. Let me know which one you guys prefer and what you think of all these American Airlines aircraft. But with that being said, that'll do it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. My name is Dread of Aviation. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Take it easy, everybody. Stay safe. Trust the process. Do what you love and love what you do. My name is Dread of Aviation. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon as Dread of Aviation is signing off.